And the buzz session, which you can't quite see down here if you're looking at the center screen because my PC's in front of it, it's high on both relationships and learning. So let's take a look quickly at the interactive knowledge cafe. The one that is most creative. It's creativity comes because of the factor of diversity. You want to capitalize on diversity. Diversity is a good thing. Male, female, old, young, da-da-da-da, all those different things that differentiate one from another creates diversity. But if you don't structure that diversity, you may not get the diversity. In other words, you have all one type of people on this table, and a clique of another type of people at this table, and a clique of another type of people at that table, and that doesn't get you the diversity. This technique forces diversity. And here's how it works. You get equal groups at tables, and here I'm depicting 5 tables with equal groups at the tables, or as close to equal as you can, and supply some writing materials. You select a group host. I'm putting a halo around one person at each table. Then you brainstorm that particular issue for a period of time, writing down the ideas that you've got. At the end of that first round, you want to disperse the members, paying particular attention to the maximum amount of rotation or diversity. And here's what it would look like if you're going to do it graphically. You take somebody, I don't have my pointer here with me, you take somebody from that table there, up there, and down there. Okay? It's like going to the 4 winds. And you pull people into that table from the 4 winds. Now, if you watch that carefully, you'll see that's creating the maximum amount of diversity that you could create. No 2 people are, in fact, I remember a class I had once, 2 ladies from the National Institutes of Health, who I think grew up together, went to school together, went to college together, graduated, joined the NIH, were sitting next to each other in cubicles, and they came to class together, or they came to a cafe session together, and what do you think they did? They sat at the same table, right? And then I said, okay, time for rotation. And I look up, where do you think they are? Together over at the other table. I'm not opposed to letting 2 ladies stay together who are a clique and be lifelong friends, but that's violating the diversity principle here. So you need to separate these folks for just a few moments during the cafe. Okay, next round you do the same thing. Brainstorm for a while, and then you do the rotation again. And at the end of all that, you have some facilitator who, or the host can report out what went on at their table. But generally speaking, after you've done enough rounds, most of what's at the tables begins to converge. But it's a wealth of stuff that's been created. Every single table is documenting all the ideas of the people at that table, and then new people come to the table, bringing with them ideas from the prior table, as well as all that tacit knowledge that's buried so far down in their head, they don't even know that they know that stuff. And when they see something from a prior round, it triggers in their mind an idea, and that comes on the board. So it's a very powerful tool for maximizing the amount of creativity. I don't expect you to memorize this thing. I'm introducing it. If you were ever to do one, you obviously want to get out a little guideline like this, or a little animation, a PowerPoint animation, and study it for a few moments to make sure you got it. It's pretty straightforward. Any questions on that one? Okay, the next one is the Knowledge Cafe, the chapter variation. This is a typical one you would use at a chapter. This is the most popular one around the world. It's heavy on relationship building, but not so heavy on learning. And here's how it works. People will come to discuss topics of interest. So each table will have a little placard out there saying, this table is going to talk about innovation, that one's about content management, that one's about communities, and that one's about maybe storytelling or something else. So when you come to the cafe of this sort, you know ahead of time some topics that are going to be discussed, and you say, hey, 2 or 3 of those topics are of interest to me. I'd like to go to that meeting tonight to pick up on those topics. So you form equal groups at the cafe tables. How do you know what table to go to? The topic is right there, and you come in a little early from the meal and make sure you get a seat at the table at which you want to sit. We talk about the topic for a while, 20 minutes maybe. One of the things you'd like to do, because we're trying to build relationships, is go around the table, each person introduce themselves. Don't take a lot of time at that, but introduce yourselves. And then talk about the topic. At each table, instead of a host who's just there to help you take notes, in this case, there's a sous chef at each table who is typically somewhat of an expert in that topic. The sous chef is not going to give a 10 or 15-minute presentation. The sous chef is there simply to make sure the conversation doesn't lag. If you over there are talking about content management and all of a sudden a silence happens, the sous chef can say, well, what about this? And the whole thing will start back up all over again. Okay? So you need somebody who can keep the conversation going. Seldom does it ever go to silence, though, in my experience. But we have a sous chef who's typically somewhat of an expert at the topic. At the end of the first round, this one is a little bit different. This one, people can go to whatever table they want to. It's not like the first one where we force the max amount of diversity. This one we say, which topic are you interested in? Well, you better run because it's way down the end of the room and it's like musical chairs. If you don't get there fast enough, you may not get a chance. You have to go to your second or third choice. So this is a little more mixed up. It's not trying to get the maximum amount of diversity. It's trying to allow you a chance to go and sit at a table and talk about a topic of interest to you. Sort of a musical chairs. Got that one? All right. The last one, the one we're going to do tonight, is a buzz session. This is a mix of both learning and relationship building. The learning comes from the fact that the sous chef is now an expert, but not an expert who's going to talk to you for an hour or so, an expert who's going to talk to you for just maybe 10 minutes and give you just some real pertinent pearls. If you had compressed that hour-long presentation into 10 minutes, what kinds of pearls would be presented in those 10 minutes? That's the role of the sous chef in this form of the Knowledge Cafe called a buzz session. Now, why is it a buzz session? Because we're thinking that compacting 40 minutes into 10 minutes or so and then giving you some challenging ideas to talk about is going to create the buzz. So if I'm talking about Chapter A for 10 minutes and I'm going to say, now here's some issues on Chapter A, go at it. And each table will discuss those issues. And when we're done, there's forming the groups, the chef presents the hot topic, the buzz starts at each table, and in this case, a server at the table would simply make sure the conversation doesn't lag. They don't need to be an expert. They're not there to give you a primer at that table, just to be the facilitator. Make sure everyone gets a chance to speak, etc. Then you rotate the members. And this one we want to get the rotation, similar to the first one. Why do we want to get the rotation? Not because we're interested in innovation. The diversity here isn't for innovation. The diversity is for the relationship building. We don't want 6 people moving over to that table. We want these 6 people spreading out in the different directions. So this one is the diversity like the former one, the very first one. And when the people spread out, and the way we're going to do it tonight is, so this is going to be a little taxing because we have a few more people here than we thought. We have 4 tables, and what I'm going to do is, at the end of each round, I'm going to go around and say, give me a number 1 through 4. You know, count out, all the way 1 through 4, all the way down. And I'm going to say, okay, table 1 is here, 2, 3, and 4. Get up and go to the table that you just had as a number. Yes, sir?
I have a question.
Sure.
When I was in grade school, we had our chairs bolted to the floor. And then I became a teacher.
What we anticipated was about the same number of people as we had chairs around these 4 tables. A few more people showed up, which is not a problem. So we need to adjust for it. One of your suggestion might be that we take 1 or 2 of these tables and split them in half and put a few more chairs around them. That would certainly work. Is that what you're suggesting? Yeah. Right. Okay. That's one possibility. The other possibility is that just a few more people join each table. However, we're getting at the limits here. The tables now have 8 or 9 people. Add 1 or 2 more. We're going to be up around 10 or 11 people. That's getting at the very limits of being able to build relationships with folks. You're not going to get to know each other too well, but that's what we're going to have to do this time. So rather than spending a lot of time moving tables around, those of you that are in the back, we're just going to ask you to pull chairs forward. What happened down here at table 4? Well, no sales pitch here? You can draw enough people to your table? What's going on here? We did a perfect count. I know. There were plenty of 4s. I don't know. Okay, we ready to start the round?